Welcome
to another podcast. I am Tony.
I am Stark.
And together we make Deep Thoughts with Tony and Stark. So we've a couple episodes in now.
Yeah.
We realized that we haven't really done anything on aliens.
Yeah.
Per se. We talked a little.
Probably one that when people find out that we're doing this for funsies, they're like, well, have you talked about like UFOs and have you talked about the Squatch and stuff? And we're like, I mean, we'll get to that, but we want to.
Those topics are so broad and wide.
Super broad. There's, like, everybody's got their own experience. Yeah. Everybody's got their own, like, oh, I know a guy who was abducted by an alien.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool.
It's hard to condense into one, like, quantifiable episode.
Correct. So I think what we're going to do is we are going to break it up into different topics about aliens.
For sure.
And different, well, not like subtopics, like things that happen, events, abductions, like different conspiracies about aliens, like pyramids, things like that, like
and somebody,
stuff like that.
And
so
the topic that I believe that we're going to be going over today is going to was brought to us by one of the comments on our first podcast.
Yeah,
which is really cool. So
I'll put this up here. Boop, and well, thank you. I think the Noel Bell was the subscriber.
Very cool.
So thank you, Noel Bell, for the recommendation, because I did some research on it and I was just like, whoa, this is actually really crazy. We should definitely do an episode on this. This is really cool. So
and
I never
we are.
And here we are. So thank you again. Like we've said before, if you guys have any really cool, interesting stories or conspiracies or things you want us to take a look at or anything like that, you know what to do. Put it down below in the comments below, and I will start taking a look at it. So we'll Mr. Stark, and that's how we get content. You know, we start talking about it and stuff like that because you guys. So.
Yeah. We want this to be a give and take.
Yeah.
You give us, we take it.
Yeah. Exactly.
All right.
So, so today, just like as it says, I'll put it back up again. We're going to be talking about Barney and Betty Hill. Okay. So what they were exactly, and I've got their picture. I don't know if you can see their picture.
I can see it. And then now you guys can see it.
Yep, absolutely. So they were a couple. They basically, very short, real fast. They were an American couple that were abducted by extraterrestrials, aliens, in September 19th to September 20th of 1961.
And they 5 years before, what's his name died? Paul died.
Oh, yeah, true.
That's crazy.
That's really weird.
Anyway.
That's a little sketchy. Oh, boy.
The aliens did it. The aliens killed... Anyway, I digress.
All right. Podcast change. Oh, topic change. No, it's good. But what they were was the first widely publicized report of an alien abduction in the United States. So.
Okay.
Yeah. So that is like their real fast.
So you said
things.
61, right?
Yeah. 1961.
And Roswell was supposed to have happened in what, 47?
Yes, because the Battle of Italy was 1942. Yeah, 47.
That's a whole other thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah,
all right. That's crazy.
Yeah. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Barney and Betty is really crazy. Really kind of. There's a lot of. So we're going to go into their story a little bit and kind of talk about it. Then we're going to talk about two sub things that are about the Barney and Betty. They actually call this story.
So, I'm curious.
Yeah.
Barney and Betty, right?
Yeah.
Like, wasn't like the Flintstones their neighbors, Barney and Betty?
Well, I think so, actually.
It's Fred and Wilma and Barney and Betty. Right?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Hanna-Barbera must have known something. That's ridiculous.
I think... What did they call... Hold on. They actually called this specific... Like, you guys can... When you research it, you can actually call or look at it as... Oh, yeah. So they call it the Hill Abduction.
Hill Abduction.
The Zeta Reticuli incident. So those are the ones that they associate Barney and Betty Hill with.
Gotcha.
This incident. Okay.
Cool.
Okay. So getting into it. So yes, they were the first publicized couple to get abducted and to go, to actually have they had like a movie done in like 1975. They had Betty's journal stuff that she wrote that we'll talk about. There was also a book written as well about them. So there's some stuff went down, and a lot of people contribute Barney and Betty Hill's incident into like creating the like alien like stories, like and kind of like word
a whole phenomenon of like alien abductions and stuff,
and like the Western civilization type area. So it's kind of cool. So
I'd be curious to know, because you said this was like the first American widely publicized thing to see.
American keyword there.
Yeah, to see like what was like the earliest recorded like alien abduction.
I mean, that we could go into that. That'd be a cool podcast actually, because there's a lot of stuff that goes way back.
I'm curious if you know, let us know.
Yeah, totally. Put it down in the comments. Yeah. Absolutely. Okay. So yes, just like we talked about, there's a movie, there's a book. Betty Hill has her notes and tapes. She actually did tapes about the incident. Those items have been placed in permanent collection at the University of New Hampshire, her alma mater. In July 2011, the state. This is kind of weird. The 2011, the State Division of Historical Resources of New Hampshire marked the site of where the alleged crafts first approached Barney and Betty as a historical marker.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. So there's got to be something going on there, right?
Yeah.
No coincidences, right? What happened that night? Okay, so it was the night of September 19th, 1961. Okay. Shortly before midnight. So Barney and Betty was out partying or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. So, Betty and Barney Hill, they had experienced, sorry, I lost my track. They were driving from Canada to Portsmouth, New Hampshire. Okay. So up north, near the resort of Indian Head, New Hampshire. Yeah. They stopped their car in the middle of Route 3 to observe a strange light moving in the sky. The next thing they knew, they were about 35 miles further along their trip. Several hours later had elapsed. And they were like, wait, what? And they were still like stopped in the car, like in the position where they like had stopped, but they were 35 miles away, and a couple hours had gone away, and they were like, bleh, and they don't know what
both of them didn't recall anything.
So we'll get into it.
Okay.
So yeah, so really strange. Just as like kind of a side note, they were just a normal couple, right? Barney from 1922 to 1969, he was employed at the U.S. Postal Service. Betty, she was a social worker. So nothing super. They're not like in kind of like Bob Lazar or somebody like working at Area 51. They were just normal people.
Normal people.
Yeah. They had a really good family friend. His name was Major Paul Henderson. He was one of the head majors of Peace Air Force Base. After this happened, so after they were 35 miles away and a few hours later,
gotcha.
They were like, what the heck? So they called their friend, Major Paul Anderson, was like, hey, we saw this crazy light. This is what happened. But, give him the situation. So Major Henderson went and found out that this actually, their story corroborated by two separate UFO reports from the U.S. Air Force radar data from two different Air Force installations nearby.
Wait,
the
what?
Peace Air Force Base and another one. I couldn't find which the other one was. But yeah, so their story.
So the time frame of where they got abducted and where the sightings from these two separate locations.
Correct. Corroborated with their story.
Again, no coincidence.
No coincidences, right?
That's crazy.
Oh, yeah. So, guess what happens?
What happens?
2 weeks go by. Betty begins having nightmares. In her nightmares, yes, night terrors, as way she describes it. Basically, she describes being in those things. She describes those night terrors as being taken aboard an alien spacecraft and having medical experiments performed on her and Barney in these night terrors.
What?
Yeah. So,
is that like the probing?
Well, here's what happens. In her night terrors, she describes a long needle inserted into her navel. There was
button, if you didn't know.
Yep. She describes having a star map inserted and embedded into her brain. and we'll get into that here in a little bit.
Is that kind of like that episode of Stargate when Jack O'Neill like puts his head in that ancient alien thing?
Yeah, totally.
And, like all this information gets downloaded.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah,
if you haven't watched Stargate, you should watch it.
Fantastic show. Anyway, Stargate SG-1.
SG-1, yeah. Not. So, I mean, Atlantis is okay.
It's not SG-1.
It's not SG-1.
Yeah, watch that show. Shout out to my dad. Thanks for that show and when I was growing up. So, yes. So the needle inserted in the navel, the star map ingrained into her brain. They also the aliens had a fascination with Barney's dentures, which was weird, and she specifically remembers them both being examined or the aliens examining both of their genitals, obviously.
Like your vet did to Jarvis.
Yeah, but he's all healthy. It's for a good cause. He's got good testicles. This may not be for a good cause. Who knows? I don't think they're doing a physical for him.
You learn a lot of things from different species. Maybe that's what they're doing.
This is true. You're not wrong. So, as a result of these night terrors, Betty and Barney decided to go separately undergo hypnosis. Okay, in separate sessions.
Gotcha. Not like couples hypnosis.
Nope. It's completely separated. They want to do that specifically. They described nearly identical experiences being taken on board alien spacecraft and by what they now call the Greys.
The Greys. Mm-hmm. Or the Asgardians.
So, short beings with huge black eyes and smooth gray skin. But that's super weird that they separately went under hypnosis and they both gave the exact same stories of what happened. Yeah. How do you... I mean, hypnosis is designed to bring the truth out.
It's designed to like enter into the subconscious, where the conscious mind doesn't have the ability to lie, I guess. But I mean, even if you were like beforehand to like, hey, let's get our story straight.
Yeah,
you're going under hypnosis, which is a real tangible thing. Like it's not like it's a made up like. No. Witch doctor kind of thing.
No, it is legit.
It's legit. Like you'll never do something you wouldn't do at your core under hypnosis.
Correct.
Like you can't be hypnotized to murder somebody.
No. Oh.
Brainwashed is different than hypnosis.
Oh, really?
I think so. I'm pretty sure.
I don't know.
Or maybe I'm just making.
Maybe it's the same thing. If someone knows, let us know.
But I mean, to be under hypnosis and for them to both say the same, almost the exact same thing, it does lead one to want to know what the fuck happened
and to almost believe them in some ways. Even if you don't believe in aliens or whatever, like you can't deny that that's super crazy because just like you said, that when you're under hypnosis, that is getting the true true self out. You know what I mean?
And
there's no deception or anything. You can't.
Sure.
Yeah, under hypnosis, you can't deceive anybody because it's just, you're not in your own state.
Yeah, you're just answering truthfully. Yep. And to caveat something you said about like if you don't believe in aliens, my personal belief, aliens absolutely exist. It is far too. It blows my mind. For the universe is too vast. Like absolutely. We have this finite perception of what our universe is.
Yeah.
The solar system is big and that, but our solar system is only a small fraction of our galaxy. Tiny. And our galaxy is a small fraction of of the universe.
Yeah. Yeah.
So to think that we are so special as human beings to be the only living creatures, whether it be, 2 arms, 2 legs, 1 head.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
No, for sure. And I'm on the same page with you. I definitely think, there are definitely
there's something
beings out there of some kind, whether it be aliens.
In the immortal words of
whatever.
Mulder,
yeah.
Truth is out there.
That's right. So, I mean, we're definitely not alone.
No.
We're definitely not alone. And
what that
obviously you can believe whatever you want. Well, religious people will believe different than non-religious people, and you can go into that and all those roads, but no, we are definitely not alone in this world. So there's too much evidence to say otherwise.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Anyway, sorry.
So you're on the right track. So, okay. So next thing is going into, they described the Greys, basically, aliens.
We'll throw a picture up right here.
Yeah, I've got a couple different pictures of what they kind of say. First 2 pictures, one kind of has more of like a humanoid type one. The second one's more of like what you would kind of expect an alien to kind of look at. So kind of people kind of argue what they would look like,
Yeah,
right? Between those.
When people say like little green men, they're really meaning little gray men.
That's correct. There also is a picture in here of one in a tunnel. We won't go into it, but this picture comes from when people say that the Greys fought the Navy SEALs in the tunnels of New Mexico and like Arizona.
Why has that not been made into a movie?
Great question, but it's a really crazy story.
That sounds friggin' awesome.
It's a wild story, bro. So that's what that picture is from. So
I mean, we're about to have Godzilla versus King Kong, right?
Yeah.
Why not have seals versus grays? Yeah, that's anyway.
So these are kind of what they say the Greys look like. The Greys are the more popular and what a lot of people speculate and say that are in like the Area 51 that we're working with. So that's where the Greys come from. So about the Greys a little bit. The Greys, gray aliens, also referred to as Zeta Rectilians, Recticulians. Yeah, Roswell Greys or just Greys. So the Greys are typically depicted as gray-skinned, diminutive humanoid beings that possess reduced forms of or completely lack external human body parts such as noses, ears, sex organs, right? Hence why they're more interested in those things.
Yep.
Their bodies are usually depicted being elongated, having a smaller chest, lacking a muscular definition and visible skeletal structure.
Well,
Yep.
My anaconda don't want none.
Their legs are depicted as long and shorter and jointed differently from humans, with limbs proportionally different from a human. So
Crazy.
yeah, it's wild. So Greys are depicted as usually having large heads in proportion to their bodies, with no hair on the body and no notable any extremities, ears, noses, stuff like that. Sometimes with a small opening orifices for where those like ears and nostrils may be in some. Some people say that. But the one thing that's consistent is Greys are almost always shown with very large, opaque black eyes. They're frequently described as shorter than an average adult human, although sometimes they're described as being human-sized or taller. So it just kind of goes varies, but for the size and stuff. But the consistent of gray, black eyes, larger head, that is a consistent thing. So they do say the Greys, although they are not as aggressive as the reptilian race, which we'll get into that one day. They are a lot of them call them sex pests of the alien world. Yeah, because they don't have any kind of reproductive organs. They are super fascinated with that. So every time that someone gets abducted, they always talk about
how they got probed up the butt.
Right.
Their genitals were fondled.
Right.
Gotcha.
Now since they are considered more peaceful, they don't care much for contact with, or contact about like war, environmentalism, and stuff like that. But what they do is they prefer, so they don't like, they're not into like making war with humans or putting humans in humans and stuff like that. They're more interested in the abduction stuff.
They're more interested in the pursuit of knowledge.
Correct.
About a different species as opposed to.
Yep. So whenever someone's like abducted, they usually talk about the Greys. So they're interested in more of like fiddling with genitals. All of the orifices basically. They are also.
I'm just imagining being abducted and one of the Greys being like, "Turn your head and cough."
That would be.
I mean, that's. Anyway.
Oh my god. They also said to be partial to other regions of cattle and other livestock, which they remove by laser or like beam them up.
I mean, why wouldn't they? Yeah. They got udders.
Yeah.
If they're playing around with people's junk.
Yep.
Cows, 4 stomachs, 4 udders.
Yep. So they're known to be, hitting up the cattle and livestock world too. So different animals and whatnot. So that is about the Greys that Barney and Betty say that they abducted them. So
say while under hypnosis.
Too.
Separately.
To my news separately. So very interesting, I would say. It's just very interesting. So. What do you think so far?
Learning more about the Greys. I knew they existed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew they existed, but this is really interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Honestly, to be honest with you, that hypnosis thing is really what is like holding a lot of this stuff together.
Yeah, totally.
Again,
Same with me.
not solidifying because you can't.
Well, sure.
Yeah, I don't have like tangible evidence, which is hard. That's the whole faith thing. But it works the same way in religion that it does in conspiracy.
Yeah,
you gotta have a little faith.
Totally, 100%.
But I mean, being a man of science, it makes sense.
Yeah, totally.
It makes me want to. Like I said, I have a lot more questions.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That I can't, form right now, but still questions.
Well, let me help you answer some.
Cool.
So let's go back to the hypnosis.
Cool.
So remember I talked about the star map?
Yep.
So basically, the star map that was in what Betty was saying, it was ingrained into her brain, and like she can remember it to the T, just like you described. So basically, under hypnosis, Betty was shown a star map, which she was able to reproduce and identify the exact Zeta Reticuli star system, which is where the aliens' home planet for the Greys come from. That's where people say the Greys come from, outside of the Hill and incident.
Wow.
So,
why do you think they put that in her head then?
I don't know. Some speculate that they were testing to see like our brains, because how much
like capacity kind of thing.
Yeah, because remember how much do we use actually of our brain?
Well, I mean,
capacity.
It said we use 10% of our brain.
Yeah.
Man, we use like 10% of our brain at any given time.
Right. So what they're saying is they were experimenting on the abilities of the brain and seeing what it can hold and how it can hold information and stuff like that. That's why they did that. So yeah, it's really wild, right? She went on to a couple things though. So she went and said, boom, that's where it is. This is the Zeta Reticuli, whatever, and they confirmed it. And they're like, what the heck? And that's where, just like you said, the Roswell and stuff like that has happened before. So they were already kind of like, hey, this is where these aliens are coming from, type deal, right? The Zeta
Reticuli.
Yeah, exactly, right. Or send them money. Zeta Reticuli star system is about 220 trillion miles away.
Miles or light years?
Miles. So that's why I don't even know how many light years. Someone tell us how many light years that would be. They are a faint pair of stars. That they say that's where they come, like the area where they come from. There's two faint stars. You can actually see it right here. It's circled. So so on the right side of when you look at a star map. So no planets have been discovered.
So that constellation or that star map is a real map, right?
It is.
And the 100%. One that she drew out under hypnosis matched it?
To the T.
And she was a social worker?
Yeah.
I mean, I know a lot of social workers. They're smart people, but not like that.
I know. That's why it's like...
That's kind of crazy.
Yeah. So here's the crazy thing about the Zeta I don't know how to say this right.
Just call them Zeds.
Zetas.
Every single time you're messing it up, just call them Zeds.
So what's crazy about this star system is there are no planets have been discovered, or initially no planets have been discovered around either star. Okay, of where she said and where they say these
and again,
Greys come
back
from.
In 1961.
Yeah, but in 1966 that discovery was retracted, and then there became evidence that there was a they're calling a debris disk in an asteroid belt around the stars. Debris disk or alien mothership. Yeah. So which I don't know. That's just crazy. They're like, oh, there's no planets, but there is a debris disk. Why don't we call it what it is? The Greys mothership. The two stars are called Zeta 1 and Zeta 2. Or together they make the Zeta Reticuli. They're each fifth magnitude stars, so they're barely visible to the unaided eye. They are located in the obscure southern constellation Reptilium. This southerly sky location makes it invisible to observers north of Mexico City's latitude. It's pretty interesting.
That's kind of crazy.
Yeah. So, So 2 years into Betty's writing of her accounts of her dreams and these night terrors, she was writing them down, making tapes, stuff like that for 2 whole years. All these details and stuff like that about the Hills medical experience, about the hypnosis stuff and everything that. All the information came from her and came from these notes and came from these tapes and stuff like that, which kind of makes sense to me because when you think about it, she was the one that had this information implanted into her brain.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that she would remember it more so than Barney. Who knows what they did with Barney? You know what I mean? They were messing with her brain. Maybe they were messing with his ding dong or something. You know what I mean? Who knows?
With his ding dong.
Who knows? You know what I mean?
Does?
So, or whatever. Who knows what they were doing? So, they were messing with his denture.
Oh, yeah,
They
yeah.
were really curious about his denture, which she specifically said that they were super interested in his denture for some reason. Which makes sense. We don't got no teeth.
Like, yeah.
They're like, what? They're like, oh, dang, what the heck is this? You know what I mean? So,
is there any account about the Greys having teeth?
I don't think so. Huh. Or at least if they do.
Even if they did, and I mean, it's, I guess, vanity, but also not to have like dentures. And they're probably like, well, what's this? Why's he got fake teeth in there?
Yeah.
Those aren't part of him.
Yeah. So, so basically, so that's where all this stuff comes from. Now, here's a really interesting thing with it. That night, Betty was wearing a purple dress. Okay. She kept that dress in her closet for 40 years, and it was torn and covered with a mysterious dust. She basically, have you ever heard of the Project Blue Book?
No.
Okay, so
I mean, I was part of the 10th Mountain Division. We had to carry around a blue book, but
no. So it's kind of like a thing where the government's like, we'll just go really broad and say it was like their what do you call it? Like Project Blue Book was like an alien type deal for the government, right? So the people associated do it
like the Manhattan Project.
Yeah. So the Project Blue Book took her dress, and they were the ones initially that I guess that were the group from the Air Force that were the ones that corroborated the different locations and stuff like that too. But later on, they took her purple dress and confirmed that the mysterious dust
was otherworldly.
It was nothing of this world. Yep. So super crazy. So that is, and that in a nutshell is Barney and Betty Hill and their story about them getting abducted.
That's crazy.
It is super wild. And it's really interesting too because they're just normal people. I mean, look at their picture. I'll put the picture back up. They're normal people. They got a dog in the picture.
A little dachshund.
One interesting note too is they are an interracial couple for that time. It was a very interesting thing, you know what I mean, for that time period. So that is an interesting thing. But to me that just says that they're a really cool couple. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And for that time,
progressive, ahead of their time.
Exactly. And so I don't see why they would have any reason to make anything like this up, and especially the fact of going back to the hypnosis thing.
Why draw more attention to themselves if they're already under like intense scrutiny?
Exactly. Exactly.
Do you want to know why?
Why?
Because the truth is out there.
Truth is out there, and there's no coincidences. Remember that, people.
Yeah, no coincidences.
No coincidences. Well, what do you think about Barney and Betty Hill?
Barney and Betty Hill, it's intriguing. Like there's a lot of, hold on. There's a lot of like stories about abductions, and a lot of times it's like Cletus out in the farm, like I got abducted by, they stuck something up my butt. Yeah.
Exactly.
In reality, like this was in New Hampshire.
Yeah. In Canada.
From Canada to New Hampshire. Like that's like, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's still like those kind of people up there, but these are normal people who had a shared experience that was discussed and I don't want to say exposed, but brought to light separately through hypnosis, which I think is, I know I've said it a bunch of times already on this thing, but that's really what kind of like, well, I guess I'm going to say your word, solidifies.
Yeah.
And I think it's cool that they had the forethought to do that on purpose.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's really, I mean, it it's really interesting.
It is.
And I want to know more. I want to kind of dive deeper into some stuff like you said, the LA Battle for LA or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Not the shitty movie, but the
No. Which the movie was made off of.
Yeah.
The Battle of LA in 1942.
And we'll throw up a picture of it real quick.
The really famous picture. You guys have probably seen it if you've done any kind of alien research. So.
Yeah.
That's a cool story.
Yeah.
So.
But I mean, yeah, it's really cool, and I feel like it's going to tie into a lot of other stories and conspiracies down the line.
Absolutely, and I personally, like I said earlier, I definitely personally think that that they did go through that.
Yeah.
I mean, like we said before in the beginning of the podcast, I definitely think that we are not alone.
Yeah.
Something had to happen, and these very intelligent beings definitely beamed them up and took a look.
Well, I mean, beamed them up or however they got them on board.
Yeah. It's crazy.
I mean, yeah.
So,
although tractor beam science is kind of interesting.
It is.
I'm a big Trekkie, so.
Hey.
Anyway.
So, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, really interesting story. Let us know in the comments below if you liked it and what do you think? Did Barney and Betty actually get abducted? Give us a like and a subscribe if you enjoy our content so far. We've got really cool stuff happening, episodes with guests. We'll do mini-series, different things coming up. So definitely hit the notification bell that's right next to the subscribe button to be able to get those notifications whenever we do post those. So that's really cool.
So when there's new content.
That's right. Last but not least, a toast to you, Mr. Stark.
Toast to you, Tony.
And
toast
to our beautiful viewers. We appreciate you guys. Quick little toast. Yeah. Obviously, for obvious reasons, we can't show what kind of beer we are, but it is beer. Yeah. And lastly, that's what I wanted to say. I lost my train of thought for a second. If you like our t-shirts,
yes.
If you like them, let us know if you'd be interested.
Or my hat.
Or yes, we got a really cool hat as well. Let us know if you'd be interested in something like that. Yeah. What colors you might like, what orientation. So like his is this way, mine is this way. Let us know if that's something you'd be interested in, because we got some really cool ideas, but obviously we need followers. With that being said, if you guys enjoy our content, feel free to share our videos on different platforms that you enjoy. Yep. We'd really appreciate that and that kind of support. But again, put stuff down below in the comments so we can research it just like we did with this one. Yeah. Again, thank you, Noel Bell, for the recommendation, because it was a very fun story.
Couldn't have done without you.
Yeah, absolutely. So with that being said, I think that's it.
Yeah. So just remember to keep thinking deeply.
Yeah, get deep. I am Tony.
And I'm Stark.
And thank you for joining us again for another podcast, the
Deep Thoughts
with Tony and Stark.